To welcome back to Business Success, Stephen Marks, who is the founder and managing director of GYG, Guzman y Gomez, and Taryn Williams, who is the founder and CEO of therightfit.com and founder of Wink Models. Stephen, Taryn, welcome to the Entrepreneurs Masterclass series.
Thanks for having us again.
Thank you so much
Chloe?
for being here.
Good to see
you. It's great for you both to be back. I'm really excited to cover this topic with you, two people who obviously know. I mean, we're talking brand. You've got it on your shirt.
Oh, I didn't know I wore this today. I didn't know I had it on.
So let's
that on trick.
It's a camera.
Let's just start off with, I mean, I have explained who you are, but a little bit who you are and what you do. Taryn, do you want to go first?
Yes, so I'm the founder and CEO of The Right Fit, which is an online marketplace for creative talent. So essentially we have everything that you could need as a brand to create a campaign. So anything from photographers, hair and makeup artists, models, actors, influencers, to bring your campaign to life, whether that's a photographic shoot, TV commercial, social media campaign, all in the one place. Wow. And my second business is Wink Models, which is a traditional offline modelling agency with offices in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, and about 650 models Australia-wide.
Amazing. So, I mean, brand is like, you're all over
everything.
Brand. So, Stephen, would you like to introduce
I only have one business.
Okay, yeah.
We don't have a couple sort of rolling around. Yeah.
Just one or two stores.
Yeah.
So 15 years ago, I moved from New York to Australia, and growing up in New York, we were privileged to have so much incredible Mexican food. And when I got to Australia, I mean, I searched out every Mexican place possible, and it was horrible. And I think, like any good entrepreneur, you think you can do a better job. So over 10 years ago, we opened up our first restaurant in Newtown. We named it after friends of ours. It's called Guzman y Gomez, and as of today, we are the fastest growing fast food company in Australia. We were also voted best customer service by Roy Morgan for 2017. We have over 80 restaurants in Australia, 90 globally. We're also in Singapore and Tokyo. And over the next 18 months, we'll build 36 restaurants, 24 of those being drive-thrus.
Wow.
So, when you talk about success for us is building a business that you think that you can create serious disruption.
Yeah.
And we're out to reinvent fast food.
I mean,
so we're pretty excited.
Disruption. And like 15 years is absolutely incredible to have achieved those kinds of numbers. So it's been a pretty wild ride. Let's just
a little bit of work.
Jump right in then. So brand is obviously so important to what both of you do. Tell me about the importance of brand when it comes to your brand, Taryn, of your personal brand, your business brand, and then you're obviously bringing all these brands together. So I imagine it's for you.
Personal brand's a really interesting one. It's a lot of entrepreneurs and business people don't think about personal brand, and it's something I didn't really personally think about until the last probably 2 years. It's personal brand. You have whether or not you choose to control it or not. So I think it's something that's really important that you sort of sit down and think about, what resonates with you, how do you want to be perceived, and what do you want to align yourself with as a business person, and really take control of that. And it really does overlap into my business brands. And we sit down when we're launching a new company and get really, really clear on what our core values are and what we want the business to stand for. And I think the brand really builds around that. Everything that you align yourself with, whether it's other businesses, the people that you hire, how you market that business, really needs to be aligned to those core values.
Yeah, the core values piece is quite interesting. And I think, is that something, I mean, for people watching the show, is that something that you would encourage business owners to sit down and be like, right, these are our core values, and then align the brand to that?
Definitely. I mean, the first time with my first business, it wasn't something that we did for probably the first 3 years of the company, and they sort of naturally evolved over time, which is, I think, what happens with a lot of startups. And with The Right Fit, it's something we did from day one, and we sat down and got really, really clear about what we wanted the business to stand for. And it's really so helpful when you're hiring and when you're trying to make strategic decisions in the business about the direction of the company and what you want your marketing to be like and how you want to be perceived as a brand. If you have those clear core values mapped out from day one, it makes it much easier to make those decisions.
I think that's actually a really good point, because when you're building your first business and for GYG, it's about doing everything the right way. For us, it's about keeping it real. That initially, when you're doing everything when you're an entrepreneur, absolutely. That it's who you are. It's who you are as a person. And for GYG, our values, like you said, mean everything. That's how we hire, and that's how we grow our business. But early on, it was always about keeping it real for us. It was about having complete honesty and complete transparency for our guests and for our crew that work in the restaurants. And that's been the cornerstone and foundation for what we've built.
Yeah, well, I mean, on the episode that when I just interviewed you, Stephen, interestingly, you were talking about, it was all about quality, having the best quality produce and delivering this best, and that's a part of your brand, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's definitely one of our values. It's all about the food. But I think any entrepreneur that makes it, they understand they can never compromise. Yeah. And that's one thing that I can look look in the mirror, and anybody successful, I call it death by 1,000 cuts. At GYG, we are relentless in being the best, and part of that is never ever compromising on any part of our guest experience, and especially on the values that Taran was talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fan. We sort of spoke
Yes,
about how
yes. I get your text sometimes.
I might have visited GYG a couple of times.
Just once or twice.
Admittedly. I think it's a really interesting sort of space and the different kind of brand experience that you've both had. Now, you mentioned, in your kind of opener at the start there, Stephen, you've got 70, 80 stores across Australia
80 plus, yeah.
going out across Asia. So let's talk about the franchise model then, and how do you choose people to be representatives of your brand?
Yeah, it's actually very difficult. It's funny, when we originally started GYG, we were definitely going company owned. And then we realized we had so many people that showed interest in GYG and my investors, and I'm the largest shareholder for GYG, and they built McDonald's, these guys, and they said, well, what about franchising? And once they said franchising to me, I actually went into therapy.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe somebody would love GYG as much as I did. But then I started to meet these people, and it's funny, we shared similar values, and they were so dedicated and passionate to that GYG experience. And that experience to me is obviously the engagement with our guests, but it's finding the crew and the people that work in our restaurants. And you always comment on about, it's amazing that GYG experience you have. And our franchisees, and I think we've been extremely lucky, we have probably the best franchisees in Australia. We get over 100 requests a month to become a GYG franchisee, and we're extremely selective in who we pick. And I think when you walk into a GYG that's not company owned, you cannot tell the difference.
Are
Our
you pretty
franchisees
hands-on
are amazing.
with that? As sort of you and the leadership team, are you pretty hands-on with
Oh, extremely. I'm very lucky. I actually read one of your posts that I have a co-founder. So my best friend since I'm 4 years old is
Robert,
building
right?
Robert, who's building GYG with me. And I have an amazing CEO named Mark Hawthorne and my senior management team.
Yeah.
But they do a lot of vetting to make sure, because it's a big decision. There's a price to come into the system, but it's the experience and it's our baby.
Yeah.
And we want people when they walk into a GYG to be, it's got to be a memorable experience for them. And our franchisees do it. They deliver that, which we're obviously, thrilled about.
I mean, I absolutely have the experience. Taryn, with all the people that you're working with, and we're talking about sort of influencers and sort of matching brands and matching sort of social people and throughout your network, how do you go about doing that? I know it's an amazing technical platform, but what are the other sort of strategies that you use?
Yeah, it's about getting really clear with brands about what they're trying to achieve. So what does success look like, first and foremost, and then is influencers and using an influencer the right channel for them to go down? And then how do they find who's going to authentically resonate with their audience and their customer base? And so we make them do a lot of work in really mapping that out first before they start looking for the right influencers, because they really need to be clear on what that is and what they're trying to achieve, and then they can start looking for the right influencer. And then it needs to be a really collaborative process. So I think for influencer marketing to really work, it really needs to be true and it really needs to be engaging, and it can't offend or alienate that influencer's audience. So it really does need to be collaboratively worked on, and they need to both be aligned on what success looks like.
I think that the influencer piece, I think it's such an interesting space. I talk a lot on the show about how I'm an avid Instagram user. I love it. And some of the, I totally follow a lot of influencers, and I will make purchases because of that. And this is exactly what your business is bringing together.
They say 92% of people will purchase a product that's been referred to them online by someone that they don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a crazy sales statistic that you wouldn't see anywhere else in advertising or marketing.
But what's interesting now with the influencers is that a lot of people are paying to play, right?
Yes.
Now these influencers are becoming more selective in what they do, and they're becoming experts in their field.
Well, they need to.
Yes.
They have to, because the
Absolutely.
game's changing, right? Everything's becoming more relevant. It's funny, for GYG, we're on this mission, this movement, that we want people to eat less meat, and the meat they eat to be higher animal welfare. We're about to go up with this whole plant-based menu, and now we're trying to find great vegan, vegetarian influencers that we can partner with and collaborate with, and that have real influence. Exactly.
Ambassadors for the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so important.
Oh, there you go.
Right, it can't be manufactured.
No, that's right. Consumers can see right through that. They're far too savvy these days.
Yeah, and I think it's funny, as you build brands, like one of the things that's very important to GYG is keeping it real.
Yeah.
And you see it, and the businesses that succeed, nothing's manufactured. That experience, comes from the soul and comes from the passion, and that's where the content is. I was on your website, and it's amazing how you can connect that whole journey. For GYG, content for us is the brand that we live. Like you want to be known, you want to represent your brand. So for GYG, it's about our food, it's about higher animal welfare, it's about healthy soil. We have an incredible art collection of music. So everything that we're interested in creates our content.
Yeah.
And and that's the new age of marketing.
And
to sort of-
content is so
And now,
easily accessible.
You can share that.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
exactly
yeah,
right.
you can share it out. We've got to cut to a break. I knew we would whip through that. Please stay with us, and we'll chat again soon. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurs Masterclass series, where we are talking brand, marketing and positioning with Taryn Williams and Stephen Marks. Guys, welcome back.
Thank you.
We've had some great chats before the break about brand, and now I just want to jump right into marketing. So,
Beautiful.
Stephen, you're on a 15-year journey. I want to talk about when you first started GYG. One, did you see this growth? Probably yes. And then,
Of course.
I saw all this
Obviously, it was a
success.
given.
But how did you market then? How do you market now? What advice?
I guess
do you
it's
have?
different. It's been 10 years. I've been here for 15 years. GYG opened up 10 years ago.
Wow.
But it's when we started, it was an education game because nobody knew what real Mexican food was. Like they thought black beans were olive. They didn't know what a tortilla was. They thought all my Mexicans were Indians. So for us, it was just that, you know what? I just needed to control what was going on in my four walls. And that was all about my food and my crew. And that's our GYG experience. And that's all we focused on. Because what marketing really is having people talk about that experience.
Yeah.
And that was everything. We needed people to try the food. And we did crazy things. Like even now, when we open up restaurants, we do free burrito days.
Yeah,
we do up to 6,000 people, all made to order. There's 40 people in the kitchen. And that's our form of marketing. But as time went on and the business started to really grow, like our marketing team right now is full of entrepreneurs, no corporate managers. Because I need them to have that founder-led mentality that it's a street fight out there. And I was saying earlier, now all of a sudden we've got this great content because there's so many interesting aspects to GYG. Now we're starting to do all digital strategy. Our marketing team, which is run by Lara Tom now, are doing such an amazing job. For instance, we got Cinco de Mayo on Friday, which is a Mexican holiday that we love. So we do $5 burritos and $5 Coronas, and I think there's 82 restaurants now, and we break all records. So now it all goes live digitally. So we've had, I think this week, 1.2 million posts about it that have all been socially shared. That's amazing. And right now, we were talking about your platform.
Content,
It's all user generated, it's all shared. Like you can't manufacture that.
Yeah.
That has to be real.
Yeah.
And that's creating a brand that, that you create content that's relevant that they want to share. And I'm sure you see it. I mean, that's your business.
And they love, absolutely.
Yeah, Tara, onto the marketing piece for you. I mean, what's your advice? Is it sales team? Is it online, Google? Like, how have you built some of the hugely successful businesses that you've built?
Yeah, I mean, I think in being in a startup, it's as we were discussing earlier, like you do wear so many hats, and so you don't get to carve out this clear marketing panel and path from day one. You really do have to test and see what works, and really be prepared to iterate and pivot really, really quickly and go, okay, that didn't work for us. What can we try next? And I think as a brand these days, you really do need to dip your toe across all of these different channels. SEO, SEM, all of these social channels that we have access to, and there's a new one, launching every single day that we need to keep up with. And then, of course, all of the things that you can control as well, like your user experience from online to offline is also important. So,
And the transition.
But what she's saying right there is
yeah.
so key. It's that flexibility. You see brands for 2007, it's agility, right? To be a leader, you have to be at the forefront of innovation. For GYG, it's food and it's obviously technology trends. But you just said there, if you're not flexible as an entrepreneur, you're dead. And that's where I think these corporate managers have a tough time coming in because you have to continuously to stay flexible.
Innovate.
Not flippant, but flexible because you got to get it right.
Yeah.
It's all your money
It's so hard to turn, and they need to be able to cut through that bureaucracy and really try new things.
And you're talking about pivoting, Taryn. So do you think that making decisions quickly and just kind of going with them and just switching?
Yes, and you try and fail small. You try not to invest huge amounts of money into marketing decisions or any kind of business decisions.
Because you don't have to anymore. I mean, that's the great thing. If you have great content, technology is getting cheaper.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So if you stay that's why our platform is amazing. If you stay, you don't have to have a lot of money to go on a platform, get great content, figure out which channel it works. Like for GYG, we've got content, and we got to figure out which part of the demographic that comes to GYG, is relevant for it. And then if it doesn't work, you try something else.
Yeah. And there's so many amazing tools as well for data to capture all of this big data and work out where your user is, how to target them, how to speak to them, what the customer.
Well, the SEO piece is really interesting. I mean, following and sort of data and tracking. I mean, that's hugely powerful information nowadays, isn't it? And every business is doing it. So if you're not doing it,
You're being
sort of-
left
you're lagging.
Well, you need
behind.
it. It's gold.
Do you think you need, at what stage in a business would you recommend to people to get sort of a dedicated marketing function? Taryn, you mentioned, when you start out, and I know probably the same for you, Stephen, like you're everything, right? You're the CEO, you're the PA, you're doing the IT.
But I think that's a little different because, it's funny, I'll just, for GYG, I had the vision of what GYG is going to be. But you need to find experienced people that are excellent at what they do to help you sort of have that dream become reality. And we met, for instance, I had this guy named Tony Ibbotson, who was a branding and packaging guru. But he brought the tone and the brand, and the identity to life. And he's been with me since the first day, and that's been so invaluable because I would never have been able to do that on my own.
And
he
even
nailed
if it's
it.
not in a full-time capacity, surrounding yourself with the best in breed is so important in any aspect of your business, whether it's lawyers, accountants, marketing, social media.
Yeah.
If you can't afford them in a full-time capacity, that's okay, but get them around you and, really draw on their expertise. So that you can...
I think that's a very good point because I think people think they have to... Listen, you got to go through a certain element of pain, and you got to find your strength in that pain, because you have to. I mean, I believe that anything painful, if anything's gonna be good, it's got to be painful.
Yeah.
Not in a sadistic way, but that's just that's the journey.
Greatest challenges, greatest successes.
It's all true.
If it's tough, it's worth it.
Yeah, it totally is.
I want to talk a little bit about competition and how you set yourself apart. I mean, you are both setting yourself apart hugely. Do you want to jump on that one, Stephen?
Yeah, I think, it's easy to say, I think, as you get bigger, but truly, to focus on competition is such a waste of time, and it actually loses your focus. My team we're relentless. We're relentless in being the best, and let the competition worry about you. You have to be able to look in the mirror and know that you're doing the best job you could possibly be, and that's it, man. Stay focused to what your game plan is and what your journey is going to be, and let the other ones worry about you. Yeah. I think when you become an entrepreneur, for us, success is everything. Like, we really want to disrupt, like, the biggest food industry globally. We don't have time to worry about anybody else.
Yeah.
There's too much stuff to get done.
Something that's better for everyone as well.
That's right.
That's why I love it.
Yeah. And just staying so true and so authentically who you are, and that's what really resonates with people when they absolutely understand your brand and story, when they absolutely understand your values and your ethos and what you stand for as an entrepreneur and as a business. Then it's so much easier for them to relate and really want to be a part of that journey with you, and that's why they want to come on that journey with you. So. Yeah.
I think the authenticity piece, and we were chatting about it in the break, that authenticity, being genuine, it's just huge, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we call it emotional authenticity. You got to be true. You can't be a phony.
Yeah.
People see food, and I think the brands that are strong, they have real leaders that what they say is meaningful because they know it's real.
Yeah. I love that. Don't be a phony in the New York accent. It's amazing.
Don't you be a phony. We don't like phonies.
We've got a couple of minutes to go, but what would you say are the best pieces of advice that perhaps you've been given in business and that you'd give? Taryn, would you like to go?
Oh, I've just finished reading Ben Horowitz's book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, and if you haven't read it yet, you must.
My boss, Charles Green.
He's absolutely incredible, and he has so many pieces of wise words and wisdom in there. So I would highly recommend that. My other favourite piece of advice that I've been given is don't waste time rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, and that's about failing fast. If you can see something, whether it's an employee that isn't quite the right fit for the company, or if it's even a marketing plan that you've set out on that isn't quite working, you need to pivot quickly, you need to make change, and you need to move on.
Great advice.
Don't waste time.
Yeah.
Great advice. Stephen?
I agree. I think at some point in the journey, you have to be true to yourself. Like, unless you think that you're going to build something that's magical or special or it's going to be disruptive, if you believe so, then go for it. If not, then stop.
Yeah.
I think people, they forget that. They have too much confidence in themselves, and they're not looking at the reality of the situation they're in.
Yeah. Really good advice. Why do you do what you do? What drives you and inspires you?
I guess for me, on a day-to-day basis, I get to build a business with my best friend since I'm 4 years old, who's an amazing guy. I have an extremely talented CEO. I have 50 people in my head office in Sydney. We've got incredible, passionate franchisees and crew. And to me, they've dedicated their lives to GYG, and I think it's my responsibility to make that journey very memorable. On a bigger scale, I really believe that GYG has the opportunity to be a massively successful global company and have a chance to make real social change. I've got 2 Australian daughters here who, God bless, have every opportunity in the world to have whatever future they want. And for me, I can't sleep at night knowing that other girls don't have that opportunity. So I'm starting to build this mission that I want all little girls to have the opportunity to be obviously properly nourished but educated.
I love that. You've probably got two fans on either side of you there with that word.
Yeah.
Taryn, for you?
Yeah, for me, it's about the creative community. I'm so passionate about all of the talented creatives that we get to work with on a day-to-day basis. And I've been in this industry for over 15 years now, both as a model myself and as a producer, and working with so many incredible, talented people, being able to allow them to control their careers and build a brand for themselves online, monetize their following, safely get paid, and all of the things that had been a problem in our industry for such a long time. The more that we can work to fix that and enable that and allow them to be passionate and build their creative careers is so empowering for me. I love it.
Massive. I think you're both doing amazing
beautiful.
things. We've got to wrap. Tara and Stephen, thank you so much for coming on the series. I've absolutely loved it. That's it for another week. Thank you so much to my guests, and of course, thank you for watching. See you next week, where the panel and I will chat about trusted advisors and advisory boards, peer support and mentors. We'll see you then.